Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for another episode of Building the Autonomous Enterprise. Today, we're going to unpack the key takeaways from the recent Forrester report entitled Building the Autonomous Enterprise: How Organizations Are Preparing for and Adopting AI Agents. My first guest needs no introduction. We have the good fortune of being able to work with him, our team, and our customers, and witness firsthand how the autonomous era is being built using agentic process automation. He created the RPA category and now has created the APA category. Of course, it's none other than our own chairman, CEO, and co-founder here at Automation Anywhere, Mr. Mihir Shukla. Mihir, welcome.
Thank you, Gabe.
Our second special guest is actually the author and chief analyst, VP and principal analyst from Forrester Research, who led the research and writing of this report. Mr. Craig Le Clair, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Great to be here, Gabe.
Wonderful. Well, I appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy days. The report had a number of insights. There's tons of really interesting data. And of course, it's not just about collecting data, it's about making sense of that. So guys, without further ado, let's jump right into it and figure out what's hype, what's real, and how enterprises can move from pilot to production faster, safer, and more efficiently. Let's start with the basics. Who was part of the survey? What were the demographics and who are we going after to get the information?
Yeah, so the demographics were pretty broad. Firstly, there were about 500 respondents to this, and we reached them, pretty distributed across the globe. North America, we had about 30%, EMEA, another quarter of that, and APAC, of course, and Latin America. So, a pretty good geographic spread. From a revenue standpoint, it leaned a little, towards bigger companies with about 40% that had more than $2 billion in revenue. But we did capture some of the what you call medium-sized companies at 500 million to $1 billion. And industry-wide, also very, very spread. We had healthcare, financial services, and I would say most of the inquiries that we're getting at Forrester on AI are from financial services right now. And the respondent levels, a little sort of mid and back officey, you'd say. We had operations, finance and accounting, IT, healthcare. Some good C-suite participation, 20%. From that level, that's unusual for a survey like this. All of the respondents had some responsibility for decision making related to AI. About 10%, 11% were final decision makers. But everybody that was surveyed had some role in making a recommendation, around that. And again, we had lots of operations and a lot of folks from IT, some that were more technical depth in terms of data science, and others that were more, enterprise architects, which were always great to get an opinion from.
From the AI usage perspective, just quickly, what jumped out at you as you were crafting the report?
Well, what jumped out is, if you're looking at this graphic, is that 55% that are looking at AI agents, in particular to augment a work pattern. This to me means that there's still a trust issue with regard to the agentic world, that we're not really ready, businesses are not really ready to turn over an end-to-end process completely to a model to orchestrate. So they're a little more comfortable having the end-to-end automation controlled with the deterministic automation they've been using for years, but they might take a workflow step and have a model come in and take out a process that was either over customized or rule based or a lot of human effort. And this is what the respondents are seeing going to occur in the next year or so, right? So this isn't what they have today, but they're seeing very optimistically that 20%, 19% will be really autonomous operations. They're getting closer to what we call the worker agent, which is basically you're doing pretty much a job, with a job description, taking out a complete work process. So if you have a model in control, but the model might be saying, okay, I want to fire off this RPA bot, or I want to fire off this API to an existing workflow. It is model control, but it's not the full autonomy that we'll see as we get to more agentic systems.
Mihir, talk to me a little bit about what jumped off the page for you.
So I think Craig's research is encompassing the entire market, but it resonates with our 5,000 plus customers. So we have customers in 90 countries, and so the spectrum is across the world. The industries resonate with me. Those are some of our top 5 industries. What's important here is, although everybody is doing something with it, there are few people who have outsized returns. And in our experience, those people are the bottom in these two numbers, right? The people who are thinking of AI as a core component of their business model, and they are not just trying out something small to prove something, but they know AI is going to be part of the future, and so they are transforming themselves. And another group of people who are focusing on specific departments, whether it is a customer service or finance or HR or supply chain or logistics, and they are saying, how can I reimagine these departments and create end-to-end workflows? And I think those 10 or 20% of the people are reporting 80% of the benefit in the market.
In Mihir, to that end, within that 10%, any standouts with regards to this idea of changing?
I think there's so many of them, right? Hundreds plus customers spoke at our Imagine conference. But I think on top of my head, take an example of Sumitomo Rubber in Japan. So the problem started by saying, how could we automate various shipping calculation and optimize the operation? But what it and we did that. But what it led to is, what would happen if we could imagine little more end-to-end process. And so what we were able to do with Sumitomo Rubber is, we're able to take the inventory levels and do a real-time shipping schedules and increase loading, and create an end-to-end outcome that ended up increasing the revenue, managing cost better, reducing inventories better. So the benefit was across the business in a multiple front, and that's something we try to tell our customer, that if you do that, you will have the benefit on revenue, cost, customer experience, and maybe possibly reducing risk, right? So very few technologies who can give you the benefit across all the 4 key KPIs for a leader.